Boeing didn't just attack a competitor, they orchestrated what they believed would be a corporate execution. In 2017, the American aviation giant deployed every weapon in their arsenal. Trade complaints, political pressure, a staggering 292% tariff designed to obliterate their target's business in the United States. Their victim was Bombardier, a Canadian upstart whose new C-Series jet threatened Boeing's market dominance. But in their ruthless campaign to destroy a rival, Boeing made a catastrophic miscalculation, one that would hand their European nemesis Airbus the exact technology they needed to dominate the skies for decades to come. The ghost plane. Mystery begins in the spring of 2017, when the aviation industry witnessed something unprecedented. An aircraft that airlines desperately wanted, that had secured firm orders worth billions, simply ceased to exist as a competitive threat. No crash, no recall, just a calculated corporate execution. The target? Bombardier's C-Series, a sleek, fuel-efficient narrow-body jet that promised to revolutionize short-haul aviation. With its advanced Pratt & Whitney engines and cutting-edge aerodynamics, it offered 20% better fuel efficiency than anything Boeing or Airbus could field. Airlines salivated over the economics: lower operating costs, reduced emissions, superior passenger comfort. The C-Series wasn't just another aircraft. It was a direct assault on the most profitable segment of commercial aviation. Bombardier had invested $5.4 billion into development, nearly bankrupted themselves to bring this marvel to market. And it was working. Delta Airlines, one of America's largest carriers, placed a firm order for 75 aircraft, with options for 50 more. A blockbuster deal that validated everything Bombardier had risked. Then Boeing struck. The American giant filed a trade complaint, alleging Bombardier received illegal subsidies from the Canadian government, subsidies that allowed them to sell aircraft below cost. The accusation triggered a Commerce Department investigation, threatening tariffs so massive they would obliterate any chance of US sales. Nearly 300% duties. A death sentence. But this wasn't about fair competition. This was about elimination. Boeing didn't even manufacture a direct competitor to the C-Series. They had no aircraft in that size category. This was pure market manipulation, designed to strangle a threat before it could breathe. The Twin Titans kingdom was forged over 4 decades of systematic conquest. Boeing and Airbus, two names that didn't just dominate commercial aviation, they owned it absolutely. Together, they controlled 99% of aircraft deliveries worldwide. Every major airline, every continent, every route, bound to one of these two giants. Boeing rose first, building an American empire on the back of the 707, the 737, the 747. Legendary aircraft that defined modern air travel. By the 1980s, they commanded over 60% of the global market. Untouchable. Then came Airbus, a European consortium born from government backing and strategic ambition. They clawed their way up, aircraft by aircraft, order by order. The A320 family challenged Boeing's narrow-body dominance. The A380 struck at the jumbo jet crown. By 2016, Airbus had achieved parity, matching Boeing delivery for delivery. But here's what made their duopoly unbreakable. Barriers to entry so massive that challengers simply couldn't exist. Developing a commercial aircraft required tens of billions in investment, decades of certification, and global support infrastructure. The game was closed, locked tight, until Bombardier dared to try. The Canadian challenger emerged from Montreal with audacious ambition. Bombardier, a company known for regional jets and business aircraft, daring to storm the fortress of commercial aviation. Their weapon? The C-Series, an aircraft so advanced, so meticulously engineered, it threatened to rewrite the rules of narrow-body competition. Development began in 2008, right as the global financial crisis ravaged the industry. Bombardier pressed forward anyway, betting everything on a vision. A 100 to 150-seat jet that would bridge the gap between regional aircraft and the Boeing Airbus behemoths. The sweet spot, nobody dominated. The C-Series boasted revolutionary technology, Pratt & Whitney's geared turbofan engines, whisper quiet, astonishingly fuel-efficient, advanced composite materials that reduced weight dramatically, aerodynamics refined through thousands of hours of wind tunnel testing. The result? 20% lower operating costs than the competition, 25% better fuel burn, 50% noise reduction. Airlines took notice immediately. Swiss International ordered 30 aircraft. Air Canada committed to 45. Korean Air, Air Baltic, Egypt Air. Orders flooded in. The C-Series wasn't just competitive, it was superior, but Bombardier had miscalculated the cost. Development spiraled from $2 billion to $5.4 billion. The company bled cash, teetering on bankruptcy. The Canadian and Quebec governments stepped in with emergency funding, loans and equity investments totaling nearly $3 billion, lifelines that kept the program alive. By 2016, the C-Series finally entered service. 8 years behind schedule, billions over budget, but flying. And then came Delta, 75 firm orders that validated everything. Victory seemed within reach, until Boeing decided otherwise. Boeing's declaration of war arrived in April 2017, disguised as a trade complaint. The target? Bombardier's Delta deal. The weapon? America's trade law system. The objective? Total annihilation. Boeing filed with the US Commerce Department and International Trade Commission, alleging illegal subsidies. They claimed Bombardier sold C-Series aircraft to Delta at $19.6 million per plane, less than the cost of production. Predatory pricing, they called it. Unfair competition enabled by Canadian government bailouts. But here's what made the attack so brazen. Boeing didn't manufacture a competing aircraft, not one. Their smallest jet, the 737-700, seated 142 passengers, far larger than the C-Series. They had nothing to lose in this market segment because they weren't even competing in it. The complaint was nakedly strategic. Boeing sought tariffs exceeding 292%, a figure so astronomical it would make every C-Series sale to US carriers economically impossible. Delta's order would evaporate. Future American sales would die before negotiations even began. Industry observers watched in stunned disbelief. Boeing was weaponizing trade law not to protect their market share, but to eliminate a potential future threat. This wasn't competition. It was corporate assassination. Bombardier scrambled to respond, but the damage accelerated rapidly. The Commerce Department sided with Boeing, imposing preliminary duties of nearly 300%. The International Trade Commission hearings loomed. Canadian officials protested furiously, threatening to cancel Boeing military contracts worth billions. Yet Boeing pressed forward, relentless. They had the American government apparatus behind them, the legal precedent, the political leverage. What they didn't anticipate was the counterstrike already forming across the Atlantic. The Airbus gambit materialized in October 2017, a move so audacious, so perfectly calculated, it left the aviation world reeling. While Boeing celebrated their trade victory, Airbus executed a masterstroke that would haunt their American rival for years. The announcement came without warning. Airbus would acquire 50.1% of the C-Series program for $0. Not a single euro exchanged hands. Bombardier, desperate and drowning in debt, handed over majority control of their revolutionary aircraft to their European competitor. But this wasn't surrender, it was salvation through strategic partnership. Airbus gained instant access to cutting-edge technology that filled a gaping hole in their product lineup. Bombardier gained something far more valuable: survival. The implications detonated across the industry. Overnight, the C-Series transformed from a vulnerable Canadian upstart into an Airbus product, backed by European manufacturing, global supply chains, and political protection that rendered Boeing's tariffs meaningless. Airbus would build the aircraft in Mobile, Alabama, using their existing US facility. American-made C-Series jets meant no tariffs, no trade barriers, no legal obstacles whatsoever. Boeing's entire strategy, months of legal warfare, millions in lobbying, political capital burned, obliterated in a single announcement. They had attacked a competitor and inadvertently armed their greatest enemy. The perfect backfire unfolded with devastating precision. In January 2018, the US International Trade Commission delivered its final ruling and sided completely with Bombardier. 4 commissioners voted unanimously. Boeing had suffered no injury because they didn't even compete in that market segment. The tariffs vanished. Delta's order stood firm. Boeing's legal assault had failed spectacularly, but the damage to their strategic position had already metastasized beyond repair. Airbus rebranded the C-Series as the A220 family, integrating it seamlessly into their product portfolio. The aircraft Boeing tried to kill now wore European colors, backed by Airbus's massive sales network and manufacturing muscle. Airlines that once hesitated to bet on Bombardier now lined up for what was essentially an Airbus jet. Orders flooded in. JetBlue committed to 60 aircraft. Moxie Airways ordered 60. Air France, Egyptair, Air Tanzania. The momentum became unstoppable. By 2020, Airbus had secured over 500 orders for the A220. Boeing had gifted their arch-rival the exact market segment they'd ignored for decades, the 100 to 150 seat category that represented billions in future revenue. The ghost plane had returned, resurrected under enemy command. The New World Order emerged from Boeing's ashes, Airbus now commanding 55% of global deliveries while Boeing hemorrhaged market share. The duopoly still existed, but the balance had shifted irrevocably. One act of corporate aggression had rewritten aviation history. Boeing tried to kill a rival and instead armed their greatest enemy. Sometimes the hunter becomes the hunted, and the ghost plane returns wearing different colors.